Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel M4NSM. So we are just really come up with another video, labor laws chapter 5 for Upsc Epfo 2025. Alright guys, so let's start the video. So today we're going to discuss the Factories Act 1948 and Minimum Wage Act 1948, Upsc Epfo 2025. Alright, so the first topic is Factories Act 1948 introduction. What does it say? Regulates working condition. What are the things that comes under this one? It's number one is that regulate working conditions, ensure health, safety, and welfare of workers. Applicability, where it's applicable, applies to factories with 10 plus worker with power, 20 plus worker without power. So you can understand now applicability is one of the most important thing that we should understand, that how it need to be get applicable. All right, so it is talking about the most important thing is that you guys might thinking what the power is all about. What is the meaning of power? 10 worker with power, 20 plus worker without power. So let me clarify you this. That applies to the factories with 10 plus worker with power. Means there are few factories where there are the power generator that are being used for do machinery works, and there are other factory works which are being done by hand. So it is talking about that. So there are some factories, if the factory is not using power, means it is depend on hand work, then it can be applied to 10 plus worker. And if the factory is with power, means the machine is doing the work, most of the work, then it will be considered as 20 plus worker without power. All right, hope I'm able to just solve your query, your question, your doubt. All right guys, let's go ahead. Now the key provisions. What are the key provisions? Working hour has to be around 48 hours a week and 9 hours a day. Overtime rules. Safety measures, fencing, protective device. All right, now this slide talk about the key provisions. Working hour should be 48 hours in a week and 9 hours a day. But if someone wants to do any kind of overtime, then it depends on him or her that how much overtime he want to do, and according to that his wages will can be provided to him. So it depends on the individual that if he really wants to do more than 9 hours, then it's fine for him. And if he really want to but no one can force him to do work more than 9 hours and 48 hours in a week. All right, hope you really understand, because these are comes under the new acts. All right, so working hour has to be 48 hours a week and 9 hours a day. Overtime rules, because this, remember one thing, this is the very good question that UPSC will gonna make for sure this year. So hope you really understand. If it's really asked that for how many hours in a week it's been allowed to do, so you should give the correct answer. That's 48 hours in a week and 9 hours in a day. Overtime rules. All right, so we should understand that. And safety measures. Now what are the safety measures? We all know that in every factory there has to be safety measures that need to be taken before any kind of work. So safety measures has to be fencing, protective device. So fencing means what? There should be a good fencing system that no outsider could just affect them, or no outsider problem could just really disturb the workers who might be working in this factory. And protective device means whenever the worker are doing any kind of hazardous work, grinding, maybe doing any kind of electric applicable applications works, so they should have the protective device. And it is not the responsibility of the worker to wear those. Yes, it is the responsibility of them to work, wear those, but it is the most important responsibility of the factory to provide the necessary safety equipments to the every individual worker. If the factory has been doing some kind of chemically production or mechanically production, which have really been very hazardous to an individual, so it is the duty of the factory. All right, so health, cleanliness, ventilation, drinking water. So it is also one of the most important thing. We know that cleanliness is one of the most important thing, and hygiene, it's important thing for human being to survive in a surrounding. Without a good cleanliness and hygiene, it's not possible to just survive in a surrounding. All right, so ventilation is also very important. As you are having a home and that home does not have any kind of ventilation, you might just really gonna feel suffocated. So you should not feel suffocated. For that, there is a ventilation that are being made in your home, isn't it right? So similar way in factory, the ventilation has to be made. All right, and drinking water. You can survive without food around for 7 days, but you can't survive drinking water for 1 or 2 days. All right, so drinking water has to be, and the drinking water has to be very clean for everyone. Welfare, canteens. All right, so every I'm not saying canteens are not important for every factory. There are some kind of rules that are being made. If the factory is having more than 500 workers, then it should have canteens. But if the factory is all right, 500 workers, all right, then it should have canteens. And less than 500, no need for canteens. It is not necessary, but someone can, if factory wants that, they should have, they can have it. All right, so these are the restroom. And what is the meaning of creches? You should understand the meaning of the creches. Creches is a very important thing. It is for the woman, mostly for the woman, because there are women who might be just working in the factory, and they might have children with them who are less than 6 years. So the children cannot stay without their parents, mostly without their moms. So the woman has to bring the children, so where they can just put their children in. So creches is a place where they can just put their children for an hour, until unless they don't get rest, or until unless the work has been done. All right, so for that time period, they can just put their children in that creches, which is really a very good facility that has been provided by the government to the factories. So we should understand that. So creches are, I think the creches has been clear to you, that creches is a place where women put their children for it's like an Eden garden place in a factory inside, where they just really put their children for the working hours, and after that, when their work get completed, they can take their children and go back to the home. Hope you really understand what this creches is all about. So special provisions are restriction on women, no night shifts, expectation. All right, expectation. So no night shifts. So women are not being allowed to do in night shifts, but there is expectations, because if they really want to do it, they can just give a notification to the legal authority to do the night shifts if they want, if they wishes to do it in night shift. But they are totally been prohibited from doing the night shifts. But if individual woman wants it, she can do it. So she can do it. There's no problem about it. So prohibition of hazardous work for young person, obviously. There is a chemical industry, there is a pharmaceutical industry where people have been doing work. So there is a lot of chemical that have been using in this industry. So there should be a prohibition of hazardous work for young person. Young person means who are more than 18 years old. There should be a prohibition for them to who are been at the age of 14 years. Okay, so they are being prohibited from doing hazardous works. Minimum Wages Act 1948. Now we should talk about the Minimum Wage Act 1948. Minimum Wage Act 1948 introduction. All right, so ensures minimum wage for workers. So this act itself talking about what? Minimum wage has to be paid to the workers. So it ensures the minimum wage for workers applicable to scheduled employments. All right. So key definition is minimum wages has to pay the minimum wages. Scheduled employment means there should be a synchronization of the employment. Appropriate government. Appropriate government means the appropriate, it might be in the state government, it might be in central government, does not matter. If the company is under state government, the state government has responsibility to provide the minimum wages to every individual worker who have been working in the factory. And if it is the central government, then it is the work of the central government to provide the minimum wage to every individual. All right. So fixation of the minimum wage, who fix? Central and state government fix the wages, as we already discussed that central and state government fix the wages. Different rates by region, skills, occupation. So the wage can be varies from different region to the different kind of skill or different kind of occupation. All right, so it depends. For example, and lower primary teacher will not going to get the salary of a higher secondary teacher. And higher secondary teacher's salary cannot be compared with the professor, because their skills and the region and their occupation are different. They might be working in similar kind of institution, but does not matter. This does not matter. It depends on the region and the skill and the occupation. Hope you really understand what I'm trying to tell you. All right, guys. So let's go ahead. Payment and enforcement. All right. So payments and enforcement, overtime provisions. There are overtime provisions. If someone really been doing some kind of overtimes, then on the basis of that, he or she will gonna pay for that. Or penalties for non-payment. Obviously, if the employee is not paying the payment on right time, there will be penalties. Inspector rules, there should be an inspector rules, means inspector has to look over the curriculum activities, or might be the regular activities that are been doing in the factory in a right way or not. All right. Advisory board for guidance. Sorry, there should be an advisory board for Boards for guidance means the managing director board. There should be an kind of board, safety board, regulating board, trade union board. Any kind of board has to be there for guidance. All right. So next, comparison of the Factories Act versus Minimum Wage Acts. Now we need to compare both the things. So Factory Acts versus minimum wage. Factory Acts relate with factories. Wage Acts relate with only wage. So Wage Act talks about only wages that has to be paid to the individual workers, and Factory Acts talk about overall the factory. All right. So we need to understand that. Factory Act focus on working condition. All right. So it is talking about the working condition. Minimum Wage Act focus on fair wage, both ensure worker welfare. All right. Enforced by appropriate government. Again, enforced by appropriate government means if the factory is under the state government, it is the responsibility of the state government to do cover it. And if it is under the central government, it is the responsibility of the central government to do cover it. All right. So now we have done all the slides of labor laws, chapter 5. Now let's come to the MCQs. The first question is, the Factories Act applies to the factories with. We have studied that with how the Factory Act applies to the factories with 10 or more worker with power and 20 worker without power. Hope you really understand. The answer is 10 or more worker with power. All right, guys. Next MCQ is, under the Minimum Wage Act, wage are fixed by trade union, employers association, central and state government, international labor organization. Obviously, the minimum wage has to be given by the appropriate government. Whether if it is under the state, then state has to pay it. If it is under the central, then the central has to pay the wage. All right. So the answer will be automatically the C, central and state governments. All right. So MCQ 3, maximum weekly working hours under the Factory Act is, we have studied, 48 hours in a week and 9 hours in a day. Remember it. So maximum weekly working hour under the Factory Act is 48 hours in a week and 9 hours in a day. So remember that. Hope you really like this video, guys. If you really like this video, my videos are a little bit shorter, but in this short video, all the relative information that is required for UPSC EPFO examination 2025 have been covered. So I'm just trying to make a sweet and short video for you guys to for the revised purpose, so you can just give focus in other subject GS papers. All right. So, and mostly you need to give focus on reasoning as well, because it is also a very vital part in UPSC EPFO examination, because I also attend UPSC EPFO examination in 2023, and according to that design of the paper, I really believe that this time the paper will be gonna be a little bit more harder, but do not need to be worried about it. Give your best, learn more, do your hard work, and just go through the MCQs. You can use AI to create MCQs. Daily basis 10 MCQs is enough. Whatever you have studied, you need to go directly for the MCQs and just practice this, so it is gonna build you better for upcoming examination. So I think this much is for today, guys. Tomorrow we're going to meet with chapter 6. Hope you really like this video. If you really like this video, do thumbs up, do share with your friends, and do comment. All right, guys. See you in another video. Bye bye. Have a nice day.